Hi, everyone. This is Annalisa with Inside Real Estate. I am a training specialist and work with Aubin, who is the dedicated customer success manager for your brokerage. I'll be getting started here in about a minute or two. I see we have some people logging into the system here, so I'm just going to give it a moment to make sure that everyone who's on their way has a moment to get situated. And if you could please indicate in your chat box that you can hear me and see my shared screen, see my cursor moving, that would be a great help. Then I'll know that technically we are good to go. And my goodness, it's pouring in. So thank you so much, everybody, for replying. That's awesome. All right, so I'm just going to give it another 30 seconds to a minute here, and we'll get started. Now, before we do get started, I do want to say that if you have questions during the session, to please go ahead and type them in to that chat box that you're using right now to verify you can hear me and see my shared screen. If it's something that I can speak to regarding training, I'll go ahead and answer the question. If I do not know the answer, which may be more of a technical oriented question, I will go ahead and make a ticket for you after this class has concluded and get you connected with the KvCORE Tech Group. Now, I do see someone indicating they don't have audio, so I'm going to chat with them real quick here. So I'm going to mute myself, chat with them real quick, and see if we can get them going, and I'll be right back to get started. And if you are having difficulty hearing, or if you're sitting by someone who might have difficulty hearing, because now that I realize what I just said, that doesn't make sense. But if you have audio issues during the session today, sometimes it does help to go ahead and use the button from computer audio to phone call audio, and then switch it back to computer to clear up any type of audio type of issues. And Michael, I do see your question there. It's more of a technical support question. So when the class concludes, I will take your question and direct that to the KvCORE at Inside Real Estate. I don't have access to technical support information. This is a KvCORE intro class for agents, so they can learn how to navigate the system and find content. So Michael, I'll loop back to you at the end of the class and create a ticket for you and copy you on that. All right, with that said, I'm going to go ahead and get started here, and I will be pausing time to time to see if there's any questions to tackle. All right, so what I have in front of us here is the KvCORE dashboard, and this is something that I really encourage you to log in on a daily basis to gain and adopt the use of the program here. And Cynthia is asking, can we log in to my account on two computers at the same time? So Cynthia, I need you to please clarify, are you speaking to logging in via GoToWebinar on two different accounts on the same link? Or are you speaking to logging in to KvCORE on two separate occasions? All right, I need to double check something real quick here. I'm going to be right back with you. Can see you don't hear it. Yeah, I'll start sharing my screen here in just a moment, Helen. So I'll be right back with you folks. I'm going to mute myself real quick, and I just need to double check something on my end. All right, I apologize for that brief pause. Okay, so I'm going to start sharing my screen here, and you should see a KvCORE dashboard pop up in front of you. So you should see this KvCORE dashboard and my cursor moving counterclockwise. Well, some saying no, they don't see it. So let me take my screen away and add it back in. All right, so the dashboard is showing via GoToWebinar. And if you're not seeing it, you may want to check all of the windows you have open to see if one window you may have open on your desktop or laptop may have overlapped the current screen we're using on the presentation. Sometimes that can happen too. All right, so here we are. Awesome, we are good to go. Great. Thanks all for being so on top of that. I do really appreciate it. So this is what you're going to see when you log in on a daily basis within KvCORE. And really, this is a system where you can house all of your real estate contacts you have, whether it's networking contacts, construction, perhaps fencing guys, maybe it's new leads, people looking for homes, maybe people you want to have in your pipeline that you want to turn to sell their house in the future that you've already sold a house to, sell their house, sell them a new house if they want to upgrade or downgrade. You know, this is where you can keep all of those opportunities and follow-ups of which you have in your entire sphere. So as we work through this dashboard, I'm going to show you a few things of which you'll want to hit on a daily basis. And then I'll show you how to also navigate the system, do some organizational things, find specific types of contacts, and so forth. And Jessica's saying, hey, is this recorded? Yes, it is. So when I get this recording finished, I'll be formatting it and sending a copy to Allison James, as well as Aubin, because this is Annalisa, inside real estate training specialist, and they'll be able to disperse it to you as a team to view. And Stephen's saying, hey, when are dashboards going to be set up? So I'm not privy to the timing on that, but I can ask your CSM Aubin to provide an update to your broker who can then roll out that content to you. So I'll do that at the end of the class. So this is your agent eye view when you log into the system. So we're looking right now at this top tab where it says dashboard on the top left, where this little box of 4 squares is. When you click on dashboard, this is your primary overall kind of glance at what does my day contain, what have my leads been up to, do I need any calls, do I have any calls to take, and so forth. So as you look at this on a daily basis when you log in, you're going to be able to see inbound activity here, which is there's been 27 on my internal test account here. So when I click this 27, it's actually going to match us up with this activity tab here to the left. So when I click 27, it opens up this tab and shows me everything my leads have been up to and what actions they've taken. So at any time I can glance in here and be like, all right, well, Deborah here or Bob Warner, they came in 6 days ago, but they've recently been to my site to view properties. And I can also look over here to the right to see exactly what they looked at and how many times they looked at it and how they looked at it. So with Deborah Karate Chop, they have looked at this property 3 times via their desktop, and the last time they looked at it was 20 hours ago. Now with the one to the right, they've looked at this property off William Street 5 times via their desktop, 4 times via mobile, and the last time they looked was a day ago. So you can actually look at this content and glean information and potential opportunity of contacting people. So if a lead has looked at a property, this is a total of 9 times in a day, this might be a visual cue to you to try to call this person, get a hold of them. And you can actually do that directly off of these calls to action at the bottom of these properties. So you could say, well, maybe I want to email this lead. I can click email, and the system will actually drop in a subject line for you, which then you can go in and edit and add in additional content. And it'll also drop content in here with a direct link to see this property into the email. And of course, you can add in customized content here and then send it off. You can also click to call directly off of this dashboard. Now, the cool thing here is you actually have a system here that's tied into a dialer. So what you have is the ability here to click call, and then the system's going to call your cell phone number and attempt to connect you with this lead. So when you click call, it's like a little conduit. So you can be sitting on your desktop or your laptop, and you can click call. The system will call your cell phone and attempt to connect you with that lead. You can also log your call here, and you can differentiate if it was an outbound call or someone that called you. In this case, it would be outbound. You can note accordingly here, and then click contacted to close the note. You can also schedule future touches and calls for leads here. So you could say, I want to call this person, they're new, need to make contact. And you could say, I want to start calling them on this date. And you can sync it to your Google Calendar as a reminder or not. And you can do a one-off reminder, or you can set up repeat calls. So you could say, well, actually, I want to remind myself to call this person 7 times over the next 2 weeks. And then you can save that action and set up a reminder for that particular person for that call to action. And again, this is being recorded, so you'll be able to return to this information at a later date as well. And Helen's saying, hey, does it show your real cell number as the incoming call or the conversion phone number? It's going to show the smart number. And Monica's saying, now when we're looking at listings on the site here, like what Debara Karate Shop has looked at with 7Kale, so when a lead lands on any of your websites, whether it's as a brokerage as a whole or an agent subdomain, the system's always going to show all of the listings associated to the brokerage of which you are connected. So we're connected directly to your MLS, pulling this content into KvCORE. So this is not necessarily a brokerage listing. It's going to be a listing available on the MLS of which you are connected. And then as they look at properties on your website, you'll be able to see everything these leads have looked at since they became a lead in your system. So you can kind of track their habits, adjust things accordingly, and so forth. Now, someone's saying, hey, what is that smart number? So the smart number is what you could think of as the glue that holds communications and connectivity together within KvCORE. So as leads register, as you add notes in, as you create smart campaigns that have texts in them, that's what helps connect all of the information for your leads to the brokerage as a whole, to teams, to agents, to make sure all of it lands where it should. So it's kind of like a hub that directs information. Now, if let's say I'm a lead on your dashboard, and I happen to call the smart number, the system's going to recognize my phone number is tied to you, the agent, and it's going to forward me directly to you. So it's a conduit of which to send information. And Michael, I do see your question about having a tech support person on this chat. This is not a tech support oriented call. So as I stated previously, I will be creating a support ticket for you when the call concludes to handle your questions and ask them to contact you directly to assist you. All right, so as we look at this dashboard here, you'll see your activity stream where you can kind of identify opportunities. And like I was saying with the views here, if we saw someone viewing a home, on both their desktop and phone, this may be a property where visually you're like, okay, they've had a lot of activity here. They've been looking on both types of devices. I should give them a call or try to contact them on this to strike up a conversation, see if they want to go see it and so forth. Now, also across the top, there's this calls list. When you click on this, it's going to show you the calls of which the system has created for you to complete within the day, which can be based on lead rotation, based on campaigns that have calls built into them, as well as any call reminders you have built in for yourself. Now, when you complete these tasks, it's imperative when you use this little call button to give these people a ring that you use the log call section and click contacted. So note accordingly and click contacted. That is what signifies to the system that this particular call task is complete. If you don't use one of these 3 dispositions of contacted, of course, if you made contact, not home, if you want it to fly back into rotationing or bad number to remove the phone number, if you don't use one of these 3 dispositions, the system will then count this as a past due action. So it's super important to click call, use the log call, contacted, not home, or bad number. Excuse me. Now, if you want to snooze this activity for a day, you just click this little snooze button and it pops it over to past due. And then upcoming calls, I'm sorry, past due, if you miss the disposition, and it moves it to upcoming. So we can see we moved Dabara Karate Chop here to tomorrow. All right, let me pop into the questions here. Just going to review some questions here. Be just a moment. Okay, so as we look at the left-hand side of your dashboard, we're going to pop into the Smart CRM. And this is where all of the contacts within your system are going to live. So any new lead that you have brought into the system via an import via our support team, any new lead that you have done some advertising for with links you've created via KvCORE and the people have signed up, they're all going to land within this Smart CRM. You can also connect external sources such as Zillow Tech Connect, Trulia, Realtor, Realty Juggler, any type of lead source you have where people are signing up online, you can forward those leads directly into KvCORE, and I'll show you how to find that connection information in just a moment here. Now, the neat thing about this is at a glance, you can see their name, what type of status they are. You can see there's different types of buckets that you can assign to people. You can also see the primary area of where they're looking, the average interest of type of property they're looking for, when they last hit your website, when you last called, when the lead came in, how they got to you, and if you have any future actions you want to create or need to create for that person. Now you can also use this little drop-down column here on the top right and say, well, I also want to see what lender is connected. So you can add in a lender column, or you can pop in and say, well, I don't need to see lenders anymore. Click it again and remove it. Now, this is a real handy thing to look at once in a while, because you can actually scan across and be like, okay, do they have a phone number? Yep, I need to give these people a call. So you can like double check yourself here to see what type of activity or if you've made that initial phone call. Now, if you want to see a particular set of leads, you can actually pop up here to your filter on the upper left, and you could say, well, I only want to see my brand new leads and my leads actively engaged on my site. So you can toggle these types of buckets over to see them only at a glance, and then you can scroll down and click Apply Filters and see that particular bucket of information, and then work down your list. You could also, clear your filters again to start new. And you could say, well, I only want to see new leads that have a lead detail of buyer that have a phone number. And then I want to apply that filter. And then you have a phone list to work down. Let me see if there's any questions on the Smart CRM here. Okay, not yet. Now, let's say that you have a particular message or listing or information that you want to send a group of people within your Smart CRM. So let's say you have a message you want to send to all of these new leads. You can actually click this little button here on the top left, and it'll check off everyone in this little grouping. And you can say, I want to send everyone a mass email or a mass text with specific information. You can click mass email, and the system will say you've chosen 20 contacts. And then you can drop in your subject, message, and send it off. And it'll send each of them an individual message. It's not like a group email. It's actually going to break it down into an individual message with your contact information tied into the email. You can also do the same thing for a mass text. You can either select a canned response of which you've created, or you can write your own message in here. And the nice thing here is it actually gives you a countdown of how many characters you have used. Now, the neat thing here is if you want to send someone a particular listing, like you add your listing link in here, you can also drop the primary MLS ID, like the MLS ID, into this section. And when you send this, it's going to send the information you sent here, like, hey, check out this listing. It just hit the MLS, there's price reduce, whatever it happens to be. If you drop that MLS number in here, it's going to add the picture of the primary image for that listing into the text. And it'll send it as individual text, not a group text, because everybody knows what a nightmare group text can be to get into. So it's not a group text, rest assured. It is a single text going to each lead of which you chose. Also within the mass actions here on this mass email, mass text, there's this 3 little dot. You can also add in particular tasks or hashtags or transfer share leads, archive them, which is AKA deleting. There's no like delete. There's no getting rid of a lead completely. You drop it into the archive bucket. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and clear my filter here. And we're going to pop to the listings tab, the third option down on the left. Now, sometimes when you log in, you may see only icons here. If you do only see icons, just click these little 3 bars here at the top left, and that's your expander collapser. So when we click on the little house or listings, this is going to show you all of the listings associated with the MLS of which you are connected via your brokerage. Now, you can also use this search button here. It's like a master keyword search for the MLS. So if somebody calls you and they're like, hey, what do you know about that place off Esplanade and Pelham? And you're like, outwardly, you're like, hey, I know everything about it. And inwardly, you're like, I know nothing. All you have to do is pop into your listings here and type in that keyword. And the system is going to bring up all the listings with that keyword in it. So that you can be like, oh, is that 1000 Esplanade? Yeah, I have it right here. Or is it 1019? So you'll be able to do a keyword search here, and that works with the address, location, MLS number, agent name, etc. Now, if you want to see particular listings in the system, you can actually click this little filter button. And you can say, I want to see only my listings, or I want to see only listings associated with my agency, or only listings associated with this listing agent, price range, square footage, bed, bath, and all that good stuff. You can drop in here and choose the property types. Maybe you only want to see single families and condos. Perhaps you only want to see a specific year built forward. Maybe you're looking for a general option of all fixers that are single family and condos. You know, you can pretty much finesse these to your liking. And then you can apply the filter, and the system will show you all of the listings associated with your brokerage with those parameters. And then when you want to start over, you just clear your filter. Now, if you're looking to send a specific list of properties or a specialized list, like a one-off list to send to someone, maybe you spoke with them and you're like, oh, I noticed you were looking for homes in, you know, Pelham or Warwick or what have you. I'm going to send you a customized list of properties. So you could actually click this little button and say, I want to send them these couple of these properties. And you can click, you know, specific ones. And then you can say, well, I want to email and or text these to a grouping of people or one person. So then you can drop your contact name in, and then, you know, put a subject line in there. And then this link here is a custom link that will lead people to only those properties on your website. Now, once they get there, of course, they can expand their search, customize it, change it up, explore. But this is a direct link to those properties only, which is a pretty handy tool to use. All right, next we're going to pop into the marketing autopilot. And this is going to speak to the communications that are connected and going out to your leads. So, what the heck happens when a lead registers? What triggers within KvCORE? So there are 3 methods of communication that are going to hit leads when they land. There are smart campaigns, aka drip campaigns. Separately, there are search alerts. Separately, there are behavioral automations. We're going to start with behaviorals here. Behaviorals are set up to respond to things and track things for you, the agent, so you don't have to worry about the minutia of who's come back after 2 weeks, who has saved a property, who has looked at the same property X amount of times. So you can actually turn these behaviors on and off per bucket. So again, to access this, you're going to click on Marketing Autopilot, Behavioral Automation, and then you can look at the buckets of which you want these behaviors to hit. And then you can turn off, so you can say, well, I want the behaviors to hit maybe prospects, new leads, and active leads. And then you can finesse what type of behaviors you want going out. So the system's designed to actually track something. If someone's visited the site 5 times in the last week, we recognize that. We send out an automated message for that lead. And you can hit these little previews to see what's being sent as a text and or email. And all of these are designed to be really short and sweet and engaging to get a conversation going. And they're designed to look organic, like you wrote out a quick message. Going back to the marketing autopilot, we also have search alerts. It's imperative that you are proactively jumping in and setting up listing alerts for a lead, and I'll demonstrate how to do that in just a moment here. Listing alerts are pulled directly off of the MLS of which you are connected via KvCORE. So when you set up a listing alert, we're actually pulling that content from your MLS and sending out information to your lead for you and inviting them back to your website to view those properties. And then, of course, everything they look at is something you can track and see. So it's like one big boomerang of information leading people all the way, coming back to you continually when you send out those listing alerts. And I'll demonstrate how to set those up in a moment. Going back to marketing autopilot, the third type of communication are the smart campaigns, aka drip campaigns. Now, they're all our default campaigns that are going to be connected and available to you to use within KvCORE. And you'll be able to see different library campaigns as you've added them in, or cloned drip campaigns or smart campaigns of which we have provided for you to use. You can also look at these system campaigns here by clicking this little down arrow across the top right. And you can actually click into these to learn about them. So we can see here that there is the old system conversion. This is the seller default drip we brought in for lenders, buyers, etc. that you can use. We also have different types of default campaigns for renters, homeowner prospects, etc. You can actually click into these and see how they are designed and what they will send. So this is like the lender one that the lender can connect. And it basically says, day 3, we're having email for initial contact. Day 8, we're asking about credit, and it's an email. So you can actually see what's going out and when. Now, within the KvCORE drips, you can also build in reminders to yourself. So if we look at like the personal new lead, this is going to be assigned to it as a default for buyer leads whose status is a new lead. And it's going to launch with tasks, calls, emails, and texts and status updates, and there's 42 touches inside of it. So we can actually click on the name of the drip, aka smart campaign. And we can see immediately when the lead registers, the agent gets a prompt from the system to call and text and leave a voicemail. Day 2, the system will say, hey, agent, please call this person, but don't leave a voicemail this time. Day 2, there should be a text going out from the agent to find out, if the person's an investor or just looking to purchase a home. Day 3, call and leave a voicemail. So there's internal and external things going out within the strip campaign to the agent as well as the lead itself. Now let's loop back to the Smart CRM, and I'll show you how to set up a listing alert here. So we're going to pop into the Smart CRM, second option down on the left. And we're going to set up a listing alert here for Dabara High Kick. So I'm going to click on his lead, and this little page that comes up is actually a pop-up that lands on top of your KvCORE dashboard. And we can glean a little bit of information at a glance about the lead here on this left-hand side. So we can see here's their name. There's a little check mark here, meaning we have verified this, or we have not validated the information. If we had validated, it would be a little green check mark. And we can see they are a new lead, which is a buyer. Now, if you ever need to edit any of this content, there's this little pencil here where you can change a name and save. If you need to change their bucket or their status, you can click on this little arrow and change it here. If they are someone who's a buyer and a seller, or maybe they're a renter that you want them to become a buyer, you can tag them as both types of lead. So now it says new lead, buyer, and renter here. If you want to adjust it again, you just remove it, save, and now it just says buyer. We can also see that the lead was active this week. They haven't viewed anything this week, but they've had 3 total property views. This little summary here is like your snapshot of who's this person about, what can I learn about them at a glance. So far, the 3 properties of which Dabara has looked at have been single family properties in South Salem, 7-bed, 4.5 bath around, oh, you know, just 10.5, no big deal, right? And then it shows you when they first signed up, when they were last active on your site, and how the heck did they land on your dashboard. So as you have your sources coming into the system and if you made those connections, you're going to be able to see, did they come in via pay-per-click? Did they come in via Facebook to the subdomain to the agent directly? How did they land on my site? Now, as we look to learning more about this lead, you'll be able to see everything they looked at, every note you've ever dropped in this section as an overall view for all activity. You can also say, well, I just want to see what properties they've viewed. So you can click all and see all of the properties they've viewed. Now, to set up alerts, you're going to click on this alerts tab across the top. So it says timeline, alerts, files. Alerts is where you set up your listing alert. And it's really imperative that you proactively jump in and set these up in the first 2 days to make sure that this part of your marketing is landing in their email, to invite them back to your site, to build in that habit of them coming to your site. So similar to you jumping in and using KvCORE on a daily basis and adopting that habit, we want your users to jump onto your website to view homes, to build in that daily habit, which ties into KvCORE. So it's like one big cycle that it comes back to you every time. To set up a listing alert, you'll see this summary here matches the one to the left. So you can at a glance be like, all right, we're looking at South Salem, bed, bath, price range, got it. You click this little edit button here to start setting up a listing alert. And basically you drop your cursor in and you choose the listing type. So, you know, we could say single family, maybe we accidentally hit commercial, no biggie. You don't want it, you click the little X to the left of the word. Now, this keyword section is tied in directly to keywords on the MLS of which you are connected. So with mine, I can put in information such as parking, which is tied to the MLS of which I am connected. So do I need to include something like, you know, parking fees, parking on premises as part of my filters? I also have some static filters that are available for every user in KvCORE. Maybe it needs to be a fixer. Maybe they're not looking for a fixer. Maybe they don't want any distressed properties. You know, you can go through here and add in that information. Next, you can identify the area of which you want to pull the listing information. So this is where you can put in cities, counties, zip codes. If your MLS pulls neighborhoods and or areas around elementary, middle school, high schools, you can also drop those in. So you just type in the word. And if I put in Warwick from my MLS, it's saying, well, do you want to pull in listings from the city of? Do you want the neighborhood of? Do you want the area of? So I could say I want the city of Warwick and I want the county of Orange. You know, you can add in that different type of content. So if I want to drop in like a high school or elementary school, I can say I want to pull in all the single family homes in Warwick, the County of Orange, and near Highland High School. Then I can finesse my bed and bath, price range, acreage and square feet year build if I need to. And you have the ability to change the frequency of which these are dispatched. There is never, so you could proactively set it up, and if they're not ready to receive listing alerts yet, when they're ready, you can just change it to instant daily, twice a week or weekly. The instant alert is going to pull content about every hour and send an updated listing pull from the MLS. So if you are in an area where inventory is a bit low or scant, you may want to set people up on instant alerts. You can also send a daily recap, twice a week recap, or weekly recap of listing alerts. And one last nice little added feature is you can actually offer to carbon copy listing alerts to someone for that lead. So maybe it's the husband, wife, grandma, who knows, but you can offer that to them, and then you just click save and send. And then the system is going to bring up recent results that match these properties. And now we can see that this alert one is an active alert. It's set up for single family, Warwick, Orange, Highland High School, going out once a week. And then if you had also specified, the different types of bed and bath, you would see that here as well. Now, it's really handy to have two alert options if you have someone who's looking for land versus a stick house, maybe, or perhaps they're looking for commercial and residential, and you sell commercial. Maybe they are an investor and they're looking for a residential home for themselves and investment opportunities. You can differentiate those with those two alerts. And again, we pull this content directly off of your MLS, and we pull information from the MLS on a basis of every 15 to 20 minutes. And someone had asked, does the system only pull houses on the MLS or not? Yes. So we pull all of the active listings on your MLS. So we're pulling in information directly off of your MLS at all times. And we update approximately every 15 to 20 minutes on that server. And someone's saying, with zip codes, can you exclude different zip codes? So Chris, in that case, if we're looking at like specific zip codes, because I know some cities have a big list of zip codes involved with them. When you're setting up the listing alert, you can just put in the zip codes of those specific zip codes here. So you can drop in the zip here only and do that. All right, let me take a look here. And Rick is saying, hey, when I do a search for a zip code on the MLS, it's not showing the same as it does on KvCORE. So Rick, what I would ask you to do is grab that link of which you created on your MLS for an example and send that to kvcore@insiderealestate.com, or chat with them via the bottom right-hand side of your dashboard and say, hey, this is what I'm getting on my MLS. Here's what KvCORE is showing me. Please check my connection here. And Cynthia is saying, can you use area codes? So are you speaking to MLS area codes? Like the little codes? Yes. Yeah, you can. Absolutely. If it's something that's available on your MLS, yes. And let's see, Eric is saying, where do we indicate our MLS so it links? So that's being actually set up by our onboarding team. So all of that will be set up for you when your dashboards are set up. And I'm just going to glean through these questions here. And Michael's saying, hey, can you show me how to text one property to a group of people? Absolutely. So let's say you want to text a single property to someone. And to close this out here on this particular lead, I'm just going to click this little X here on the top right. So let's say you have a single property that you want to send to a group of people that links back to your particular agent site. So right now I am on my agent site, on my agent dashboard, which is connected to a front side website that's tied to your dashboard. And that's where you're sending people to view properties, your own website tied to the website. So you're going to go ahead, we're going to pop into listings here. And let's say we want to send 68081 State Road to someone. So I'm going to click on the property and open it up. And there's going to be a link here on the top right-hand side where it says direct link. So this link is tied directly to my forward-facing consumer website, where I'm sending people for information on my drip campaigns, on my listing alerts, and my behaviorals. So I'm actually going to copy this link, and then I'm going to pop over to my Smart CRM, and I'm going to say, okay, well, these people would need to see this property. So then I can click, a custom list, and click mass email or mass text, and paste my link in, drop in the body of information, and send it off. And that will send people directly to your domain connected to your KvCORE dashboard. So Michael's saying, can you pull that off an MLS search and not from the listings tab, please, and show me the same thing? I don't have access to your MLS, Michael. So the MLS information is pulling directly off of and popping into your listing section here. Well, Michael, I don't access the MLS directly as a training specialist. I access the MLS via KvCORE. So to send it, you would, find the listing, copy the link, and then you would choose the people of which you want to send it to, and then use the mass email, mass text. Now, you could always go to your MLS and pull the link off of that particular site. I wouldn't advise doing that because it's sending people outside of your KvCORE dashboard and your KvCORE website that they're going to, so you'll have no idea if they viewed the property or not. All right, the last thing I want to cover here is via the lead engine. And I want to make sure that you are utilizing this lead Dropbox here to connect your lead sources into KvCORE. This is where you can find information on how to connect Zillow, Realtor, Trulia, any email forwarding lead source. So you're going to click lead engine and then lead Dropbox. And I really encourage you to make sure you get these connections done within the first 2 days of having access to your dashboard. Now, depending on the level of access you have within KvCORE, you may see different types of information for company, team, office, etc. From an agent perspective of making agent connections, of having leads flow onto your dash, you're going to use this email section, Zapier key if you have Zapier connections you want to use for lead gen, and Zillow. So you'll use this unique email address within like Realtor, Trulia, Realty Juggler, those types of lead systems, and forward those leads directly into KvCORE. The Zillow Tech Connect key here is what you would use to connect Zillow to KvCORE. Also within the lead engine, you can work with the bulk import here to get started, although right now we're working directly with support on helping you upload your imports from other systems into KvCORE. And Rick's saying, hey, what key is used for Realtor.com? So we're going to pop into the lead Dropbox, choose a lead source. And you're going to use, it'll say agent, and then of course it'll have Rick's name or whatever agent's looking at their particular dashboard. And you'll use this email address here that will be unique to you. So this one's unique to the dashboard of which we're looking at now for me as an agent. So when you jump into yours, you'll see your own unique email address of here to forward leads to. All right, so I'm just going to pop through the questions here. Let's see here. And Marla's saying, hey, how do I get my domain information from my old site to this site? So Marla, what you can do is forward that domain to your KvCORE site, but be sure to not mask it. So do not mask that forwarding. I would say if you have additional questions on that, to please chat with support via the bottom right-hand side of your dashboard, and they can assist you here as well. And Chris is saying, well, how do we edit and customize that consumer-facing side? So if you want to finesse the look and feel of your site, you can pop down here to Web and IDX, which is down this left-hand side. And then you'll have different options here to look at for like your overall website manager. And then you can look at your template. So right now I've got my Blue Steel template connected to my site, and I can actually go to my site editor to affect change here. So I can kind of see what it looks like. And this is the system of the hero template. And you can change this up. Should have gone to a different place. I'm gonna have to talk with tech support on that site editor. But what you can do is actually edit this information, and I'll send you the information on that when we conclude here to make sure you have that. Unfortunately, I'm running into a time crunch and I need to conclude this content because we've had our 45-minute session here. But I will go ahead and format this content for you and send it to Allison and the account customer success manager, Aubin, and I'll ask that they share this with you. And I'll go through all of the remaining questions here and also provide the questions or the answers to those of which I can answer. And if not, I will create a support ticket for you and ask our support team to answer those tech-related questions. So with that, I really appreciate all of you being here today. I encourage you to jump in and, as soon as you get your dashboards, jump in, make sure to pay attention to the calls to make, the inbound information, take a peek at these little visual cues of what people have been up to since you last logged in. And one last thing, if you see a little heart on the top corner of a photo, that also exudes a particular interest level from that person. So they have actually saved that property as something they want to come back to. So that's another visual cue for you that there's particular interest in a property by that person. So I will go ahead and close out here. I'll send information following up on how to customize websites because we didn't have the time to tackle that, and also a recap of this information. And I hope you all have a great rest of the day. And someone's saying, hey, will there be more training? Absolutely. Your customer success manager will be contacting your broker as well as setting up additional training or sending additional information for you to help learn the system. All right, everybody. I hope you have a great day. And again, thank you very much for being here. Bye-bye.